Hi everyone! I wanted to get on today and just give some general information. So if you have just been diagnosed, you may be wondering what it's going to be like to get your port inserted. If you have gone through treatment, you may be wondering what it's like to get it removed. So I'm going to show this to you. I got it removed on Friday. I'm going to talk about what it was like getting it put in, what it has been like getting out, some things to think about, some questions you may want to ask your doctor, what supplements I use to calm inflammation, that sort of stuff. So I hope that this is helpful. If you are watching this, please drop your name below, like this video. If you find it helpful, please feel free to share this video with anyone that you know that is going to get a port inserted or removed or has any questions. Please feel free to share this group with anyone that you think would be a valuable resource. And as always, let me know if you have any questions that you would like me to talk about and discuss in this group more. Okay, so let's start with the port surgery where you're getting the port put in. So this was at the very beginning of my journey. I got it placed May 2nd, and I had been diagnosed February 8th. So I had a couple months in there where I was doing a lot of research. I was making my treatment decisions. I was getting the staging. I was going through fertility preservation. So I had a big chunk of time in there. The great thing about port surgeries is that they are very short. It's a very, very minor surgery, and so you get the smallest amount of concern in terms of recovery, in terms of, you're not getting like general anesthesia, you're getting twilight anesthesia. So it's a happy little drug. But so a difference between when I got it inserted versus when I got it removed, and this may have been because my body had been exposed to chemo and a lot of other drugs, and so maybe it built up a little bit of resistance. Technically, you are awake during the surgery, but don't worry because you don't remember any of it. All you'll remember is being wheeled into the surgery room, and then you wake up. There's no trauma, there's no, seeing scary things. And in fact, I think, and everybody may be different, but I think even though you may be talking or technically you're awake during surgery, I think your eyes are closed. At least I'm pretty sure mine were. So basically they put you in this twilight sleep. They don't actually put you under full general anesthesia. And what they'll do is you'll come into your hospital room, you'll get in your gown. Now, the first time they took a wipe and wiped down my chest and everything, and I think it was like an antibacterial wipe. Well, I had a reaction to that. My skin was all kind of bumpy the couple days after the surgery, and so I mentioned that, and they did not use that the second time. So when I went to get it removed, they didn't do that. So just be aware, like if you have a reaction to something, make sure you make a note of it. And there was a lot of time, obviously, in between the first surgery and the second surgery when I got it removed. So you'll want to make sure you keep notes, maybe keep a journal, because things like that might slip your mind. But if you have a reaction or anything, make sure you let people know, because they didn't have to use that the second time, okay? So you're going to get an IV placed, which is great because you have been fasted the whole time. So you're going to fast from midnight the night before to whenever your surgery time is. When I got it inserted, it was a really early morning surgery, and I had to leave the house, I think, between 6 and 7 a.m. I was like, great, I'm going to get up, I'm just going to go. The second time, I didn't have to be there until 9:45, so I was a little stressed because I couldn't eat or drink any water or anything like that. Hey, Shelly. And so, but it ended up being totally fine. When you get to the hospital, they just give you an IV, and so you start getting hydrated, even though you can't have anything in your belly. Now, the reason they don't want you to have anything in your stomach, even though they're hydrating you through the IV, is because when you're kind of placed under for these surgeries, you can actually start choking or not throwing up, but basically things can come up if you have anything in your stomach when they put you on these drugs. So they want to make sure that your stomach's really, really empty. So that's why you can't have any water or any food from midnight the night before to whenever your surgery is done. So they put you in the IV, you get dressed, they may clean you off, or if you've had a reaction, they won't do that. And then when I got my port placement, I remember all the way up until I got into the OR, and then I got off of my bed onto the surgical table, laid down, saw the lights. I remember seeing the lights above me, and that's the last thing I remember. I don't remember the doctors coming in. I don't remember anything. The next thing I remember was waking up and coming to in my room. Now, the placement was a little bit different because my husband wasn't in the room right away. They had asked him to go wait somewhere else, and like in the surgical waiting room or whatever. And so I started coming to. First thing I asked was, where's my husband? Where's Patrick? And so he wasn't there quite yet, and I was still kind of, drowsy. And the second question, or the second statement I made was that I was in pain. So when they place your port, it's a plastic device that's like almost got like this rounded plastic button. Now, before you get your port placement, a nurse will probably show you this, but it's a plastic device basically with a little button, and that's where the needle goes in that allows you to get the chemotherapy. And then there's a tube or a catheter that they put the port in your chest, and then the catheter kind of runs up over your collarbone and then down into an artery, and that's how it's delivered. So I had two little insertions. I had where the port was placed, there's a big scar, and then I had a little nick on my neck where they went in. I think that's where like a stitch was or whatever, and then you could see the tubing across my neck. So if you rolled it or whatever. So both times for the placement and for the removal, you're going to experience a lot of inflammation because obviously you're getting like this plastic thing put into your body, right? So there was a lot of inflammation the first time. There was a lot of inflammation. I'm going to show it to you in a minute just so you kind of know what to expect. And then for most people, they don't experience any issues throughout the treatment process. I did experience it would like pinch me a little bit. Now I'm a side sleeper, so I feel like maybe that contributed to a little bit of it shifting around. But yeah, it did pinch me a little bit and it would kind of shift around. I did actually get an infection. So there are some things that can happen. A lot of times nobody has any issues with it. Some people get it placed and they love it and it's amazing. I did have a little bit of an issue, but overall it's very, very convenient because you don't have to get the chemotherapy through an IV anymore. You just get it through the port. They give you some lidocaine lotion, so you'll put that on before your treatment. You'll go in, it'll be all numbed up, they'll poke it, and you pretty much even if the lidocaine didn't have time to sink in, you pretty much don't feel it, or it's a tiny little pinch, or it's no pinch at all. It just kind of depends on how well the lotion did, how early you put it on, that sort of thing. But basically, you get your treatment through that, and it makes it really, really easy. So when you're done with treatment and you are cleared, here's one of the things to know is that you do have some control over when you get it out. So a lot of people, hi Delaney. So I have actually heard when I announced to everybody that I was getting my port removed, I actually heard a lot of people say, oh, my doctor wants me to keep it in for like 3 years. And I have actually heard from a lot of people that they have kept it in for a long period of time after treatment is done. So there's a lot of reasons you may do that. Again, if you have it, you can use that in place of any IVs or things like that. So if you're going to keep getting your blood drawn a lot and you want to use your port, so there are considerations for that. In my mind, I had some issues with it, and it was a plastic device that was in my body, and I wanted to get it out. So since I had issues with that, I requested, I was like, how soon can I get it out? So just know that is something. There's a little gnat in my room. So just know that is something. Again, I always want to empower you as the patient to ask questions, to know your options, and that is an option. That is something that you can ask your doctor. Hey, how soon can I get this out? And then just work with them and talk about the pros and cons. But so for me, I got the PET scan back. It was clear, and I said, okay, how soon can I get it out? So we got it out really, really quickly. My treatment was done July 19th, and my port removal was August 30th. So that was pretty quick. So port removal is the exact same. You go in, you get an IV, they start rolling you back. Now this is a little different for me. I started getting woozy on my way back. I didn't even make it that I remember into the operating room before completely passing out. Or actually, I'm not even sure I passed out because remember how I told you you're actually awake? I think they actually give you a second drug that kind of gives you a short-term memory loss, so that you completely just like forget everything. But it doesn't matter either way. All I remember is I was about to go through the double doors and I was already kind of getting a little woozy. Now here's the thing that was a little different about it the second time, and again, maybe this is because I have built up a little bit of immunity. I don't know. I think that I was very talkative this time. I don't really remember this, but there's like this little vague thing in the back of my mind, and then as I was being wheeled back into recovery, they said something to Patrick where they were like, yeah, she was asking a lot of questions, and I was like, well, I really hope I was polite, but I feel like I was talking the entire time. So just be aware there might be a slight difference between both of them, but basically you're going to wake up from a long nap, and they will have removed it gently. So it took maybe about an hour. So I'm going to show you the what it looks like, because this has been, I guess, 3 days after. And really what was really interesting is, remember how you had 2 insertions? You had the insertion here for where they placed it, and then the insertion in the neck for where the tubing goes. You only have 1 insertion for the removal, which is kind of interesting. So they go in through the exact same scar, they remove it gently, and then they seal you up. Now, one thing that I did not expect was, you have this plastic lump in your body for so many months. When they remove it, they flush and clean the area, and then they seal it up. But you've had that pressing up against your skin for a long period of time, and just like when you're pregnant, it takes time for that bump to go back down and for your stomach to flatten out. This has actually become a lump as well. And so there was a lot of inflammation kind of in the whole area. Remember, I said it went around my collarbone and down. So that first day, a lot of inflammation developed like a football pad. And the pain was honestly not that bad. So the first time when I got it placed, I did take some stronger pain medication, like maybe for that day, maybe 24 hours or so. But for the removal, I just took some ibuprofen when I got home, some ibuprofen when I went to bed, and I haven't had to take any other pain medication. So every day the pain level has dropped drastically. So by like day 2, it was pretty much low to no pain, and now only if I pull on it a certain way, it's still a little bit tight. And the inflammation has at the same time dropped dramatically from every like 24-hour period. So there's not very much. However, the lump is still there, and the bruising has gotten worse. So I'm going to show it to you. So here's your fair warning if you don't want to look at it. Okay, so this is, see, that's the scar. So that's where they inserted the port, and that's also the same scar where they removed it. So this yellow bruise goes down lower on my chest. It's like it's kept spreading. It's like it's raining the bruise. But you can see a little bit probably in the video that it's still a raised lump, okay? But the overall inflammation, so you can see my collarbone there, the overall inflammation in this area has calmed down. So that's actually gotten better, and again, the pain is really non-existent. So one of the things I took a lot of, and I'm still taking a lot of, is fish oil. Fish oil is an anti-inflammatory. It's also gives you healthy omega-3s and omega-6, so healthy fats, which are really, really great, supportive for your cell health, for your brain health, for, like I said, anti-inflammation, that sort of thing. And so I upped my dose when I got the surgery. So I've been taking some before bed every night. So that's one thing to consider. You may consider taking something like curcumin, turmeric, things like that to assist in inflammation as well. Now, if you hadn't seen it, I did a post on supplements that I took during chemo. You can always read that because I'm still on those. Now, a lot of those supplements have to do with cell health, mitochondrial health, inflammation, protecting my organs, that sort of thing. So all of those are also beneficial for quicker recovery. And so I'm not sure how much that had an impact in terms of the pain diminishing so quickly, the inflammation going down so quickly. But I have heard it's a pretty, from other people, that it is a pretty fast recovery in general. So I hope that has helped. If you know somebody that would find this to be helpful and encouraging, please feel free to share this video. Make sure to drop your name or say hello below so I know that you watched it, and thanks for watching. Let me know if there's anything else I can provide. I know that when I started going into these sorts of procedures, it was very new for me. I had no idea what to expect, and this, especially like when you're going into surgery, makes you really nervous, but there's really nothing to worry about. It's a really, really easy procedure. It's super short, and the recovery time is really minimal as well. So I wish you all the best, and I will talk to you soon.